Today's Captain's Blog is made possible through the support of Andy Larkin. Thank you for helping out, and if you're interested in being a part of supporting this insanity, check out the links below in the description, get on the Patreon, and get involved. Thank you. Hello guys, welcome to today's Captain's Blog. This is an amazing bit of video, which is actually a really boring video, so it's complicated. But we're about to embark upon a great and wonderful journey where together we're going to build a robot. And not just like, I made this little kit. No, we're making like a for reals robot. This is the Anand Robotics AR3 project. I'm calling it Project Archie because ARCHI 3E, it's elite, it's cool, it's elite robot. This was designed by a really cool dude named Chris Anand, who is quite possibly deeply disturbed because he set out to build a robot, completely legitimate, functional, 6-axis robotic arm, and the controller, and the software, released everything open source. You can even get on his website, right there, all the files to 3D print one of these on your own. You can do this. This exists. This is amazing! I love this guy. I've never met him. I don't know anything about him, but I wandered onto his website one day. I think one of the guys in the Discord turned me onto it and was like, check this out. And I was like, oh my God. And it's cheap, like cheap as chips. In the normal world, to build a robot at this scale, or to buy one, like, cause like KUKA sells them, other companies sell them, like it's a standard educational size robot, like what you would have in a classroom for like advanced stuff. You're not gonna see one of these in a junior high, but like advanced stuff, yeah. And these things that cost like 20, 30 grand. This whole kit, it's like in $500 chunks and you can nickel and dime your way into having a robot. And I'm a low rent kind of guy, so for me, this is like the greatest thing ever. So the first thing I did was we did a small fundraiser for like 500 bucks on the channel during one of the live shows, which you should be tuning into. And we did this fundraiser and I ordered just the hardware, just the CNC bits. Yes, you can 3D print them. I don't want to have to 3D print this in multiple pieces and epoxy it together. And I have the wonderful luxury of being able to do fundraisers and get stuff like this. So we're doing it out of legit aluminum. And these are all from them. So this will give us a chance to get a first look at the hardware. This isn't the actual hardware kit. The hardware kit is like nuts and bolts, and he's got one of those too. We'll be back for that. But this is all the CNC components, and there's about 30 of them. They're labeled in the manual. I wanted to take a chance to go through for anybody else who might be building one of these to be able to say, this is what this part is called. And it can just give you a heads up. I'm also, because a bit of a masochist, I guess, I'm going to try, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try and polish all these to like super shiny. And then I need to figure out the best way to make it not tarnish, because aluminum will oxidize pretty much instantly. And I would like to keep these nice and shiny and pretty. So if you have suggestions on that, let me know. But my initial thought is hit it with a coat of lacquer and we'll see how that goes. So with that, let's dig in and take a look at the basic aluminum parts, the machined parts of the AR3 robot. Now, something you should know, the AR3 and the AR2 are pretty much exactly the same, except the AR3, which is a new version, is a closed source or a closed loop system. It's open source. It's a closed loop system, which means that the robot knows where it is. It doesn't just have to count and pray. It actually knows where it is. So that's kind of cool. And we're going to dig into that in great depth. But today we're just going to get a look at what everything is. So these are all the parts and their proper names. This is the J1 base plate. This is the very bottom of the robot. And this is another one of those that if you 3D print it, you probably have to do it in pieces. I might be able to actually fit that on mine. I've got a Creality CR10S. I think that'd fit on my build plate, but most of the 3D printed versions, this will be in 2 pieces. Now this is a big, hefty aluminum plate. It's got your mounting holes. And then right here is where the main tower of the robot comes off. In fact, the first piece that goes there is the J1 turret housing, and that's this piece. And that goes right there. Now that's going to be really cool. So you can tell which way this goes, like up or down, because there's a ring of threaded holes on the bottom, and then there's a ring of holes here. Now, these are all CNC machine parts. That doesn't mean they've all been totally deburred. I see a lot of little flash and stuff in the holes, but realize you're getting 30 different parts, a complete robot, for like $500. And as far as all the metal parts go, $500 will get you the entire set. It's a little bit under that. And that's amazing. So I'm not bitching about fit and finish. Like, this is, the actual fit on everything is great. The parts are going to need a little bit of cleaning up with a file and a pick, and that's no big deal. You're building the thing on your own. It's a kit. So that you signed up for this. But that's the J1 base plate and the J1 turret housing go like that. And we'll figure out which side gets the flat bit with the 2 screw holes as we go. A thing to note with the Anand Robotics, his nomenclature for everything is J1, J2, J3. I think that means like joint 1, joint 2, joint 3. I'm used to the KUKA world, like that's where I started out in robots. So I come at things from A1, A2, A3. But that's his system, so it's just a thing to know if you come from the A1, A2 world, he uses J1, J2. So going along with the bottom of our robot, we have the J1 platform. Now this is what this sits on top of the turret housing, and yeah, it sits like that, if that's front. And this part spins, and it spins on the J1 spindle. So you can see the holes there, that drops in there, so that sits like that, and other parts sit on top. So that's the relationship of these 2 parts, the J1 spindle and the J1 platform. This and its twin are motor mounts. This is the J1 motor mount. It looks and is exactly the same as the other one. You're going to see another one of these in a bit, but this is the J1 motor mount. And the reason that you can tell the 1 from the 3 is could I put a sticky note on it. So obviously that's the one. They're exactly the same. Just put your sticky note on whatever you prefer. This is the J2 motor support. It has a sister piece that is also really beefy. And these 2 sit on top of the platform. And they sit about like that. In fact, the other one is the J2 turret housing, and this is a beautiful piece of CNC machine work. Like that took time. That cost money. This was not a stupid simple part to make. Like there's things going on here, and that's all machined out of a big block of aluminum. And this sits just like that, and these become the main support of the big arm. Speaking of the big arm, that's the big arm. This is the J2 arm, and it's impressive. This is the big main arm of the robot, and it's got holes everywhere. Like there's a lot going on with this. It's a complicated part, and it's neat. I like it. I would not want to have to 3D print this. I looked at trying, I dropped it into Cura, and to 3D print this, I'd have to put it on an angle like this, and I don't want to, can you imagine the support material? Like if you printed this on a cockeyed angle like that, and you had all this support material under there, like yeah, you could do it in pieces, but do you want to have like your big robot arm done in pieces? No, this is big, solid, single piece, raw. I like it. That's the J2 arm. This weedly little thing is the J2 tension ring. This one part feels different than all the others. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it's just aluminum, out of just a piece of sheet aluminum. But this one feels like a different aluminum than all the others. This feels a little light for its size. But all the other parts are big, chunky, monolithic blocks carved out. So this one just probably started as a sheet and that's the J2 tension ring. This is your J2 drive spindle. You'll notice it's keyed. Man, that took a lot of work, because that's That's drilled out. Like there's two different levels in there. So they bored the main, they bored this hole a little bit bigger than that hole you can see down in there, and it's keyed down in the bottom. Like there's a lot of work went into that. It's nice. This is the J3 spindle. Another nice little keyed part. Something of note as we go through this, the grid that I'm laying these out on is a 1x1 inch grid. Oh, here. J3 motor mount. Looks suspiciously like the other one. This one is the J3 though, you can tell because it's got the post-it note on it. This is the J3 bearing cup, a beefy little ring. Now all the bearings on this robot are, according to the manual, a light press fit. So you can get them in, but if you knock it wonky, trying to do it with a vise or something, or just pound it in with a hammer, you're going to have a bad day. So you got to be careful with that. We're going to get to that as we get into the building process. This is the J3 spindle retainer, which is a fancy washer. This one, a surprisingly simple and plain part, given everything that we have going on so far, is the J4 motor mount. This one's interesting. This is the J4 timing hub, and if you look closely, the surface finish down in here looks like a casting and then turned. So I'm not really sure like if this was an extrusion or if it was started out as a cast part or what. I'm really curious to know, and if Mr. Annan ever wants to comment on my video, like he's ever going to watch this, I'd love to know the story behind this part, the J4 timing hub. Also, it looks like a little tiny baby version of the same part that you would find on the 80s vintage, like the old ones of the KUKA, let's say KR125 size robot, the 120 area. You'd see these on the back of the 456 servo motors. These are pretty cool. The simplest part on the robot, I think, this is the J5 bearing post. A nice little easy turning job. There's a little bit of schmoo to clean up in there, nothing major. Cute little button of a part. J5 bearing post. This one will mess you up. That right there is the reason I shot this video twice. Because that is the J5 belt carrier, that's this part, end clamp. This is the J5 belt carrier clamp. This little tiny widgy bit. It goes with this. I in fact think it goes here because they perfectly line up. I could be wrong. I haven't built the robot yet. This is pure conjecture, but I think that goes there. But when you look at it in the manual, if you look at it on this big giant screen over my head, it's easy to not see this separate little part and to omit it and think that that's the J5 belt carrier and clamp. It's not. This is the clamp. They go together. They're happy together, like the turtles. This beefy, awesome little tank turret looking thing is in fact the J4 turret housing. And I'm so glad I didn't have to machine that part. That's cool. J4 turret housing. That's how big it is. This is the part that if you 3D print the robot, you're going to have to make one out of aluminum. This is the J4 main shaft. And he, in fact, in the manual posts all of the specific, like he posts a dimension drawing of this part. Needs a little cleanup in there. We're going to have some fun doing some deburring. Maybe we'll do a video on deburring. That's a good skill to know. I love this part. I love this part. This is a beautiful part. This is an impressive bit of machining, and I love this part. This is the J5 housing. There's a lot going on here. And when the robot's assembled, there's a lot going on here, but this is the J5 housing. This little thing is the J5 idler tension block. You can see it's got the slide mounts to be able to adjust it. Another of the beefy little ring parts with the bearing block in them. This is a J5 motor mount. J5 motor mount. This part is labeled J6 housing single piece, and I can see why, because in looking at this, it looks like the kind of part that you'd want to make in 3 pieces. And in an earlier version of the robot, or in prototyping, this probably started out as several parts, but with that impressive bit of CNC work, that is now the J6 housing single piece. And if I made that in one go, I don't want to know how many steps that took to machine. But I'd be proud of it, and I'd call it the J6 housing single piece, done in one. That's amazing. Good job, Mr. Annan. This is one of those super easy to identify parts on the website. Like when you look at the finished AR3 and AR2 robots, this part really pops out. This is the J6 bearing cap. Line it up there for you. J6 bearing cap. This beautiful bit of metal is the J6 main bearing arm. You'll note that it's chamfered on one side and square on the bottom, and has holes everywhere. That's a neat thing. And you can see there's a little bearing cup on this side. J6 main bearing arm. And that brings us all the way to the very end of the robot. This is the J6 gripper mount. So I'm not 100%, but I get the impression that this is the very end of the arm. The J6 gripper mount. So, you made it all the way to the very end, and aren't we proud of you? Thank you for making it this far. I want to send a personal thanks out to Chris Annan. The quality and volume of materials that you get in this hardware package for this price is insane. Stuff like the J6 housing single piece. This is not the kind of thing you see on hobby grade robots. This is serious KUKA, ABB, that level stuff. This is serious business, and I'm really impressed. Like, as a guy who's spent a lot of time standing in a pile of chips, this is impressive work. And I'm really thrilled that this exists as a kit that anyone can get and anyone can make, and it's affordable and it's practical and it's practicable. They're actually using these robots in industry, and that's really super cool. So thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you, Mr. Annan, for making this robot available to the public. And guys, stay tuned. We're gonna do a whole series on this. We're gonna build a robot piece by piece, and it's gonna be cool. So thank you for hanging out. If you're interested in getting in deeper on this stuff, you can get in my Discord. The link's below in the description, and you can find links to manuals and his website and the Amazon list that I'm putting together of all the parts you need to get and just everything. It's a whole comprehensive project, and you're all invited to be a part of it here in my YouTube insanity. Thank you for hanging out. I'm Chris Boden, and you're not. See ya. All of this and a lot more is Project Archie. That was fucking loud. Works better if you fucking hit record on the camera. Slate for blog camera in 3, 2, 1. What did she do to you? What? What the fuck is this? Hi. What? Hi. He's like, hi.
They were sold out of the dinosaur one.
You got...
These seem like the next best ones.
Do you guys need a cookie?
I just gave them one.
I think they need more cookies.
They were so good about it. Like, Maggie doesn't mind clothes, but...
Has your mother seen you?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, hi. Do you guys need cookies? Okay, here, you gotta hold that a second. I'm down here getting things set up, getting ready to shoot the first Project Archie video, and a cloud walks in.
It's Halloween tomorrow.
Is this your Halloween setup?
And these were $6 each.
Well, that's worth it. You need cookies, yeah. So, did you guys see this? Look at this. You're on the crew. Here, we gotta show them. We got Mackie as the director, and of course, for the camera, zoom. Say.
Hi. Oh.
You guys are adorable. Huh. How you doing? Can I help you? God. So you're a banana split, and you're a cloud with a rainbow. This is a thing. Right? This is...
Mackie, they lick the ice cream doesn't lick them.
I'd like to point out, this kind of stuff doesn't happen when I'm watching the dogs. No. I know we did set the yard on fire that one time, but you guys didn't end up in costume. We're gonna make a video now, okay? We're gonna teach people about robot parts. Wanna teach people about robots? We got Archie. Look. Big aluminum arms. Yeah, chew on that. I finally got something you can't eat. Yeah.
She'll try. Hi.
We're gonna go to work now. Okay, you ready to go to work? Ready to go to work? Okay, let's get stuff done. This is Project Archie Robot Parts Identification Video 1. Or Video 1 Take 2. Because we done fucked up the first time. That's my spot. Am I... Derp 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 derp. Yeah, boy! Okay, we're good. We're good there.